Built a powerful parlay at 12 odds. Let's break it down. First match, Freiburg versus Aston Villa, and honestly I completely disagree with those expecting an easy walk for the English side, because European finals almost never follow normal season logic. Yeah, if you compare squad depth, individual quality and experience, Aston Villa definitely looks strong. Plus there is the Unai Emery effect. This guy knows the Europa League better than some clubs know their own history. 4-1 finals is no coincidence anymore. That's a genuine elite level skill for these tournaments. And I think psychologically Villa will feel much calmer here. For them, these huge European nights, the pressure, the decisive matches, it's already familiar territory. But for Freiburg, this is a completely different level. And the question here isn't only about football quality, but about how they handle the emotions. Because this is basically the biggest match in the club's history. And games like this sometimes break even very solid teams. But at the same time, I'm definitely not expecting Freiburg to just hand over the trophy. Actually, I think they will play very brave. First of all, they don't really have anything to lose. Secondly, this team generally knows how to create chances. Yeah, in the Europa League they weren't as convincing away from home, but in their home matches they look extremely strong throughout the tournament. And even now, if you watch their recent form, you can clearly see Freiburg are playing bright attacking football. They scored in 13 of their last 14 matches, and that's a very serious number before a final, especially considering Villa themselves are far from perfect defensively. Yeah, their Europa League defensive stats look solid, but they still regularly leave opponents space, especially once matches become open. And honestly, I don't see a scenario here where either side parks the bus for 90 minutes. There is way too much at stake. Guys, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I post match analysis every single day and always try to keep my subscribers informed. I also genuinely appreciate reasonable criticism and well-argued picks in the comments. I always read them. Guys, here's my Telegram and my stats. I work as transparently and honestly as possible. I even pay taxes as an individual entrepreneur. I am one of the few in this space who actually works openly and fairly. The link is in the description below. Both Freiburg and Aston Villa played very high-scoring football in the recent European rounds, the Germans averaging 3.5 total goals per playoff game, while the English side averaged 3.25. So both teams are fully capable of producing open football here, especially if we get an early goal in the first half. And honestly, in that kind of game, Villa's superior quality could become decisive, because the English side simply have more players capable of deciding moments individually. Plus, Emery is brilliant at feeling the rhythm of finals. He knows when to suffer, when to adapt, and how to break games tactically as they develop. That's a massive advantage for Aston Villa. But I'm definitely not expecting a blow-up. Freiburg are far too resilient and emotional a side to collapse without a fight. The Germans almost always battle, scrap, and usually find at least one attacking moment for themselves. So for me, the clearest angle here is goals, especially because both teams already look like they were rehearsing for the final in recent league matches. Freiburg smashed Leipzig 4-1, while Villa dismantled Liverpool 4-2. That once again shows both attacks are currently in excellent shape. So for the parlay, I'm taking over 2 goals total, because 2 goals in a final like this feels like an extremely reachable line. And for the crazy parlay, I'm going with Aston Villa to win plus over 1.5 goals at 2 odds. Second match, Palermo versus Catanzaro, and honestly I think a lot of people are burying a host way too early after the first leg, even though this entire matchup has never really been about stability. It's always been about home field advantage, and that's extremely important before the return leg. Because Catanzaro genuinely looked fantastic at home and absolutely deserved the 3-0 win over Palermo. But now the entire situation changed. In Sicily, Palermo are a completely different football team with completely different energy. They've won 12 of their last 13 home matches. That's not just good form anymore. It's proof of how difficult this stadium is for any opponent. And most important, the hosts now have absolutely nothing to lose. After losing 0-3, there is no reason to play carefully or try to show the game down. Palermo have to attack from the first minute, bombard the box and play aggressive. And honestly, I think that exact scenario fits this match perfectly, because Catanzaro away from home look far less convincing. They dropped points in 8 of their last 11 away games and lost 5 of them outright. And whenever teams really start putting them under pressure, especially in hostile atmospheres, problems appear quickly. We already saw Palermo exploit Catanzaro defensive weaknesses in the stadium during the regular season when they won 3-2. But at the same time, I wouldn't expect some easy destruction here. Catanzaro are full of confidence after 2 dominant playoff wins in a row, and definitely will not come just to defend. Actually, the visitors' playing style could make this game even more open. They are dangerous in transitions and very effective when opponents overcome at numbers forward. And Palermo will absolutely have to overcome it. They need to recover a 3-goal deficit, so sitting in slow possession without risk makes zero sense. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if all of this turns into a very wild and emotional match. The statistics also point toward goals. In 6 of Palermo's last 8 home games, over 2.5 goals land, while Catanzaro's away matches saw at least 3 goals in 5 of their last 7. So both sides are naturally playing open football right now. And everything here points toward a scenario where Palermo constantly push forward while Catanzaro get huge spaces for counters. That's why I really like the option of Palermo double chance plus over 1.5 goals. Calm results like 0-0 or 1-0 just feel impossible here. The intensity of this second leg is way too high. So for the parlay, I'm taking 1x plus over 1.5 goals because an aggressive Palermo performance with goals feels extremely logical. And for the crazy parlay, you can absolutely go with Palermo to win plus over 1.5 goals at around even money. But personally, I'm taking the bigger option. Palermo to win plus both teams to score at 3.1 odds. And one more match I broke down as a single, but it also can be added into the parlay. Stad versus Bodø Glimt, and honestly I don't think there is any reason to overcomplicate the underdog story here, because the difference in quality between these sides right now is simply massive. Stad after promotion look like a team that still hasn't fully understood the speed and intensity of the elite series. And nowhere is that more obvious than in defense. 22 goals conceded is the worst defensive record in the league, and the issue isn't just the numbers themselves. The team simply can't handle pressure from stronger opponents. Whenever teams increase the tempo and aggression against them, the backline completely falls apart. We already saw it against Viking and against Bodø Glimt themselves. 6 goals conceded against one, 5 against the other. And the worst part of the hosts is that there still aren't many signs of real improvement. Yeah, they managed draws against Tromsø and Molde, but even there, Stad were mostly surviving rather than controlling anything. Meanwhile, Bodø Glimt now look like a team that has fully regained top gear after a couple of small setbacks. The last match against Tromsø was extremely telling. They absolutely destroyed them 5-0. They know how to suffocate weaker opponents and almost always play very aggressively against bottom-table teams, especially after difficult matches or drop points. You can clearly feel that elite mentality. Once they sense weakness, they don't let opponents breathe. And Stad currently have way too many weaknesses, especially defensively. But what I actually like here is the idea of combining the Glimt dominance with a relatively controlled top. Because whenever people see Bodø Glimt facing the worst defensive in the league, the immediate instinct is to jump on some crazy high-scoring match. But if you look carefully, Stad themselves aren't actually some ultra-attacking side. They concede lots, but offensively they don't create that many chances. And against organized favorites, they often completely disappear in attack. But the Glimt also don't always play chaotic end-to-end football away from home. They can calmly control matches without turning game into shootouts, especially if they score early. And honestly, I think the most realistic scenario here is something like 0-2, 0-3, or maybe 1-3 at most. So the visitors should win comfortably, but I'm not expecting some absurd goal festival end. The average total goals in matches involving both teams sits around 3-3 to 3-4, which also fits very nicely with a controlled under approach. Plus Stad are simply too inconsistent offensively to drag this game into a crazy shootout themselves. So for the parlay, I am taking under 4 goals total, because even with Bodø Glimt dominating, the match can still realistically stay within 3 or 4 goals. And for the crazy parlay, I'm going with under 3.5 goals at 1.95 odds.